Ah, Denmark, the mud pit of Scandinavia, and home to a bunch of unique and awesome rides. For a European country, Denmark is definitely very lucky regarding some of the rides that we received here. And we have a bunch of innovations and highly regarded theme parks as well. While we have many cool steel coasters, the country is also home to 3 wooden roller coasters, 2 of which are old as shit and are both named Rutsjebane, meaning the roller coaster.
Oh, that's stupid!
They're both scenic railways that started off with a brakeman, one of which still has it. And they both predate World War II. And then there's the one modern wooden roller coaster, which is Falken, which opened in 2004. Typically, when a park has a modern wooden coaster, it's either GCI or Gravity Group or maybe even a CCI. S&S Woodies are rare. Only 4 of them were ever built and only 3 of them are still operating. The 2 others that are still left are Hellcat at Clementon Park in New Jersey and Timberhawk Ride of Prey at Wild Waves Theme and Water Park in Washington. While those 2 American models feature many turns and drops and are generally not very highly regarded in the ride experience, Falken is mostly really enjoyed by the public and enthusiasts alike. Granted, it's still divisive and there's still a group that really does not like it, reason being that it is quite rough, especially in the back, but it definitely seems to have more of a following and have more love for it than the 2 others in the US. Those that do like it see its value in its layout, which is quite different from the other S&S Woodies, as this one is plain and simply an airtime machine, featuring a mega coaster-like layout, with airtime hill after airtime hill in an out and back style. This is a much more classic layout, which is probably why people like it so much. It has really good airtime. Due to its rough nature though, and due to the park now offering a more superior airtime machine for the general public,
I think you're better than me.
I am better than you.
There's been a lot of recent talk of Falken's future. There's nothing official, but a very popular topic has been whether or not this ride might receive the Iron Horse treatment one day, transforming it into a new and intense steel hybrid coaster. While there is nothing to truly back up a possible RMC transformation,
my source is that I made it the fuck up.
It's no wonder that this ride will one day reach a point where the park will no longer be able to run it the way it's running now. At that point, there are many options, such as a Titan track, of course the RMC treatment, or what I think is probably the most likely, a standard retracking to make it run well again and smoother as well. But I think it's a long time from now. The coaster is only 18 years old and it's definitely not unbearable to ride at all. I think this coaster is still gonna be here for a lot of years, and I think most people think that as well. But if we were to back up the RMC theory, there are still a few things to support it. The most important probably being the park's relationship to Vekoma. The park loves Vekoma.
No, wait!
They have 4 Vekomas, 3 of which are pretty new, those being Okain, Seon, and then Phoenix, all of which seem to have been a great success at the park as well. I mean, a lot of you guys probably know about this park because of Phoenix, which is also a masterpiece that they're very proud of. So they definitely like Vekoma, they've said so themselves as well. What does this have to do with RMC? Well, the thing is, in Europe, Vekoma is actually responsible for getting RMCs out there. Whenever a European location wants an RMC coaster, they get it through Vekoma, as they sort of do RMC's business in Europe, I think. I'm not a business expert, but Vekoma represents RMC in Europe, which means they wouldn't have to go out of their comfort zone regarding manufacturer to get an RMC. Another funny thing is that Nils Jan, who is the CEO of Forbes Sommerland, also joked about getting an RMC in an interview by Coaster Chow.
Yeah, of course we're gonna have new activities coming in the coming years.
It'd be nice if RMC got a coaster at the park, it'd be brilliant.
Yeah. Noted that one, yeah.
Do you think they know something we don't?
I mean, it's a small thing, but I think it's worth noting. So they know about RMC, and their relationship with Vekoma proves that they'd probably be very comfortable with that collaboration as well. The question is mostly if they'd be willing to get rid of their classic Woody, which I really do doubt. I think they're quite proud of it, and Nils Jan also said it was his favorite ride of the park before Phoenix. One final thing to note though, which might brew some more thoughts, is the fact that Falken does suffer from short lines. On busier summer days where rides such as Lynet can get upwards of 40-minute lines, Falken still sits at 10 minutes at the most and sometimes even station waits, and that's with 1 train ops. So if it does get more unpopular, maybe a retrack wouldn't be enough to save it, and either the RMC treatment or a complete demolishment for something new like a GCI or a Gravity Group would be best for them. There's a lot of speculation, you can all discuss that in the comments. Again, there's nothing official, it's all just talk, and barely anything to back it up at all. But what this video is really about is if they went with the RMC treatment one day, what what could possibly be done with that layout. After all, it is a pretty small wooden coaster. It's only 65.6 feet tall, meaning that it would be one of the smallest wooden coasters RMC has ever transformed. It's also only 2,040.7 feet long, meaning that it would definitely take some creativity to cram something into that short layout. The speed will definitely change though, to make sure those elements pop a little more, because currently Falken only goes 46.6 miles an hour. So if we were to make a concept for how this layout would be, this is what I've come up with. I've tried to make an as realistic RMC as possible. In NoLimits 2, I used an overlay in the editor to make sure that I matched the original layout as best as possible so that the scale and length is completely accurate. The only place where it's very different is at the final helix, which we will get to. The RMC concept, which I call because that means eagle, and Falken means falcon, and eagle bigger falcon. I don't know.
I'm so damn confused.
Anyway, the RMC is a little taller at 87.3 feet tall, which is about 6.6 meters taller. It's also 2,107.6 feet long, which also makes it a little longer, but only a little bit. Probably not more because it doesn't have the final helix. And I know I said the added height would give it more speed, but I literally just noticed that it only goes 43.6 miles an hour, which is 3 miles an hour slower than Falken. This thing is slower. I don't know how. It's taller, so I don't know if it's just something with RMC friction in NoLimits 2. This idea of comparing Falken with a new RMC layout is an idea I got from EliteCoasters. I want to give a quick shout out to him because he's made many of these videos where he takes wooden coasters and makes RMC concepts for him and goes through the layout and explains the forces. Those videos are fantastic and I probably watch all of them at least twice. So check that out. Do it. Let's get into it, lads. Falken starts out with a small pre-drop going up into the chain lift where you get your back broken. On the RMC, I have also added a small pre-drop that is just shaped a little differently. Then there's the lift hill, which is very slow, but it actually speeds up at the top, just like Untamed sometimes does. On Falken, you have this very drawn out pre-drop, which almost goes half the way down before it then rises up into the main drop, which goes straight down. This creates for an awesome airtime moment on Falken with great sustained floater in the front and a very good pull of ejector airtime in the back. But when I saw this turn into a drop, I thought it was completely obvious what I should make in the RMC. So I've made a barrel roll down drop inspired by Twisted Timbers, Medusa Steel Coaster, and of course Storm Chaser. I just thought it was too perfect with a curved pre-drop like that going straight into the roll. So that's exactly what I did. You get some great hang time up front as well as in the back, where you also get some strong whip in the back as well. Then on Falken we have the Ride's one Camelback, which gives strong sustained floater airtime. This Camelback is very iconic for Falken, so I chose to keep it on the RMC, but of course this time there's strong sustained ejector airtime instead of floater airtime throughout the entire train as well. Then on Falken you go through a tunnel and then have a long drawn out turn around, which doesn't deliver any forces, it's just rough as shit. So on the RMC, I chose to rise up again for another strong ejector pop in the front and a slightly weaker ejector pop in the back while slightly turning to the right. Then there's this overbank which then dives down to the ground again, very much inspired by Iron Rattler with the one going off the quarry wall, which is going to be very whippy, especially in the back. Then Falken features a small twisted drop toward the left, where I chose to basically do sort of the same on the RMC except it rises up first. It has stronger airtime, especially in the back, and the whip is very aggressive. This is going to be some of the strongest whip on the ride, and while the airtime isn't actually much more than strong floater, because of the whip, it's going to feel like great ejector, just like the twisted bunny hill on Terran. Falken then features a long drawn out bunny hill full of great sustained floater airtime. This is where I chose to then have a quick snap into a straight position with this bunny hill, which continues the laterals from the prior whip very strongly, while also giving a powerful ejector airtime pop. So it's a very aggressive hill, and that is followed by an outer bank Camelback, similar to the one on Untamed, except this one is going straight and not turning. It gives sustained ejector airtime while also whipping you into it and out of it. Here Falken features this raised corner where it goes up, twist to the left, and then goes down again. It's a very weird element.
This is weird.
And on the RMC, I was originally going to do a cutback inversion as I thought it was perfect going up against the structure, but unfortunately I couldn't quite fit it in with the space, so instead I chose to feature a very small and rapid fire wave turn, very similar to the final wave turn found on on Steel Vengeance. This one gives a very fast pop of -1 Gs of ejector airtime while also going sideways and being whippy into and out of it. After this, Falken features a small kink to the left which feels really weird. On the RMC, I thought this was obvious. I'm already down on the ground since the drop isn't drawn out like on Falken. So here I'm featuring a very strong ejector airtime bunny hill that also goes slightly to the left, giving a rapid jolt of laterals while getting the airtime as well. Then on Falken, you have 2 consecutive bunny hills, both of which grant strong sustained floater airtime. On the RMC, I chose to have our second inversion here, a low to the ground 0G roll, very similar to the ones found on Twisted Timbers and Joker. This one gives a perfect floatiness of 0 Gs while also having whippy laterals, especially toward the front and the back of the train. That is followed by 2 small rapid fire bunny hills, very much inspired by the endings on Untamed as well as Steel Vengeance, giving 2 strong moments of rapid fire ejector airtime pops. It's also heavily inspired by the ending on CHENDA. Here on Falken, you have the finale with the 540-degree upward helix, which also doesn't really have any forces, it's just hella rough. In fact, it's the roughest part of the ride, which is not good considering it's so sustained. So this is where I decided to completely change it up and feature an ending full of whip. You start with a very small and super snappy overbank throwing you toward the left of the train, and then you head into this transition, which is also partially an airtime hill, giving you very strong whip mixed with strong ejector airtime. This is very much inspired by the top of the twisted double up on Untamed. Then you have a final turn giving a little bit of positive forces at the bottom and then a very strong lateral jolt at the end since it unbanks quickly. And that's the final brake run. Overall, this layout has a bunch of airtime like RMC always does.
Well, duh.
But there's also a lot of focus on whip and laterals, which isn't something the rest of the park has a bunch of, only a little. It's definitely a lot more intense and smooth, of course, than Falken currently is, and there are so many other things you can do with this layout as well. The only things I really thought were obvious to do were the barrel roll down drop, the camelback, and the curved bunny hill. Everything else could be done completely differently in my mind as well. I even changed the ending last minute to make it more whippy and give the final bunny hill some more power and sustainability. To show it to you smoothly and with a good flow and without my annoying ass interrupting it all the time, I'm gonna show you the official POV of Run.
I wanna taste your freedom. I wanna taste your freedom. Frozen inside when you're not there. Weight of the world on me, I don't care. I wanna taste your freedom. I wanna taste your freedom.
So what do you guys think? What are your ideas? What do you think of Falken's future and what it holds? And also, what do you think of how it runs now? Do you even like Falken? Are you even a gamer, bro? I don't know where that came from. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Talk to me in the comments. Bye!